Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to a short update here from the S1000D and IPS user forum here in Brussels, Belgium. And I've written down a whole load of notes from what happened today. Today was kind of a lot of kind of plenary sessions, early introduction sessions. So I've just kind of put stuff here in no particular order, and just as the presentations happened. So this is just some information for those of you who weren't able to make it. If I look like I'm sweating, it's because I am. It's warm in here. We're at some motor museum for the networking evening. So I'll just go through here, pick out some of the interesting things that I think are useful. So an MOU has been signed for both on the S1000D side of stuff and the IPS specification side of stuff with the Japanese aerospace companies. Which means that's another further audience, if you like, of those that are interested in using the S series, S1000D. What was really interesting, Paul from ATA asked in the audience, of which, by the way, this is a massive event. I think somebody said this is a record event for them. About 430 people, about 15 exhibitors, I think, off the top of my head. If I get some B-roll later on in the week, I'll walk around the exhibition room, show you who's here. What Paul asked in the room was how many were new to the event, and I think a fair portion of the room put their hands up. He then asked who was here predominantly for S1000D, and a number of hands did go down, but there were still a large portion, I think about 30 people, maybe 50 people tops, who are here purely for the S1000D side of stuff. So that means the rest were here for the wider S series, which is an interesting stat. They did announce already next year's event, which will be in Montreal in Canada, 6th to the 8th of October. I'm sure more information will be coming out on that. So there were some really good presentations. There was kind of the standard ATA, AIA, ASD kind of updates. There was, for me, there was still lots of it's coming, it's planned, it's on the roadmap, which I think still shows for many of these specs a little bit of a lack of maturity. But what I really loved about this event is that it's an ASD AIA event. Unlike previous events that may have had slightly different messaging, I've relayed this back to the guys who are organising the event, that this neutrality of the event really helps get people here, really puts a lot of credence in the event, if you like. So there was still lots of talk about the benefits and the values of things like S1000D. At the end of the day, there was it was an interesting presentation. I think there are areas where, and I'll feed this back to the guys, there are areas where the presentation could have been made a little bit more useful. So in the afternoon, late morning, early afternoon, all of the specification groups gave a presentation on what the role of their specification is, the kind of state of it, and issues, and those kind of things. And there was a call for people to get involved in all of these groups, by the way. But towards the end of the day, they gave a bike dataset presentation, and that bike dataset presentation was actually really quite interesting. So they showed how 10,000i was overarching everything. Then they looked at how 3,000 and 2,000, 4,000, all these specs talk to each other, and they gave a good use case on how these specs are going to share data and how they push data amongst each other. And then they gave if you like, an example of an accident on a push bike, which they've done before, and then how the update process happens with 3,000, 2,000, 1,000, etc. On the results of some feedback from an accident on a mountain bike. There were some areas of the presentation that I think could do with beefing out, and actually I've just at this event here, this networking event, I've just spent some time talking to people, and they said that they could have probably done with a little bit more meat on the bone, showed some of the maybe underlying data structures, I think. But I think, to be fair, a lot of these specifications are quite complex and sophisticated. And you can, training, you can spend days just looking at one specification. So to be fair to the guys, they had an hour and a half to cover how all of these specs talk to each other. So that's day one. Tomorrow, I've ticked off the presentations I want to go to. Looking forward to that. There is a network event tomorrow night that's sponsored by Raytheon, I think. And tonight, I think, is sponsored by a company called 4IPS. I think that's what they're called. So yeah, it was a really good day, really good event. Mark your calendar for next year and have a look at, maybe coming and meeting us in Montreal. I'm planning on being there. But yeah, really good event. Let me know what you think. If you've been here, let me know what you think. Come and say hello. I think all of our key rings have gone already, those free key rings we were giving you. And there were some cups that I brought for some of my friends as well. Great catching up with some of my friends, great catching up with some of my customers. Until tomorrow night's update, speak to you later.